as you mentioned, this is Avalon was your entry.
I think you're a
What
little
was it?
younger just by what you said.
Yeah, but so how did you discover Roxy Music? How did it come about that, oh, here's an album that I might be interested in? Did you go specifically to find this, or was it like this cover that was like, what's happening in this, this photo?
No, you know what it was? It was the first album I got of theirs was Flesh and Blood. So it was the one before.
Oh,
And
okay.
I went by a record store, and that opening cover track,
Yeah.
Midnight Hour, I heard
Yeah.
that one, two, three, and I was like, wow, what a great hook.
Mm-hmm.
I was just attracted and got that album. And with my, allowance or something. And then I love that album so much, Flesh and Blood, the aesthetic, the cover, everything, this sort of fantasy space that it opened out in different ways, even though it's a sort of an odd duck of an album compared to the others.
Did you do some digging? Like, I mean, it was hard for us to discover who this band is. Back then we had magazines, but there weren't too many articles on the band. It's
no, there was
hard.
Very
They
little.
were a
And
mystery.
they were a total mystery. And what I did, I grew up in Canada, was I just went to, some of these more offbeat kind of record stores, and they had Japanese imports, vinyl. And there was like a lot of the early Roxy Music stuff was there. So, and these albums were a fortune, for at that time it was like $30. So, but I was obsessed and collected and I actually was somewhat disappointed. And this goes against the grain of people who grew up with the band and, who started in 1972 and you love them. It was the opposite for me. So I started off with this beautiful produced sound, and then I got the earlier records. And it was like this kind of unraveling where you lost 32 tracks and you were down to 8, or 16. And the production just wasn't there. And the voice, sounded thin, and it was eclectic, and things didn't really have that kind of formlessness and, that sort of place of, that lava lamp kind of, but behind the beaded curtain sound that they actually produced at the end wasn't there. And so I was just, and then when I got to the first album, it just seemed to me just bizarre. This kind of junkyard they put together still is bizarre. And so it was a reverse for me going back to the beginning. But so it was Flesh and Blood, and then I gradually collected all the other ones, and then Avalon came out. And then I was all about that. So I just grabbed it and loved it. And meantime, I also picked up some of his solo albums. Where you actually, I think, get a better sense of where he's. I don't think the word true self is, but kind of where his more emotional engagement is. There's a track on one of the albums called "When She Walks in the Room" with the string quartet. It's an absolutely beautiful song, and really one of the greatest songs probably ever written.
That's right. That's what you say in the book.
Yeah, I do. And I see, I remember the book.
I highlighted that. That was like, okay, I gotta ask him about this.
Because it's like when she walks in the room, then, it's time to go, like she leaves, right? And the texture of the song just dissolves. And it's just a beautiful move. And it just has to kind of reconstitute itself as a sort of memory of this. And I just think it's really a wonderful song. And it's the production there it works beautifully. The chorus that comes in is a great hook at the end. It builds in a wonderful way. I just think it's a masterpiece, that song. So maybe I'm alone in thinking that, but I just think, and there is like, you get a sense of whatever the inspiration was for that. He was truly invested in it. So, and then I think a lot of Avalon is like an exploration of texture. It's like Stanley Kubrick's last film, Eyes Wide Shut, which makes no sense except as a draft of something. But then you watch the colors and the camera work, you're just seeing him exploring some sort of texture in this film. And I think there's something about Avalon that's like that.
Yeah, it creates a mood. There's definitely, you could put it on at, at the end of a party or at the start, or, it just, it depends on someone's mood. It's adaptable.
And I don't think what you said is uncommon about coming. So some of our generation came into Roxy Music with Avalon. So at the end, so people going back to the beginning, feel maybe different about the music, but still, it's definitely not necessarily what you would expect.
Yeah, and Avalon is about desire.
Mm-hmm.
There's a somewhat ennui. There's a sort of tired nature to it. The party's over, right? Quality. But those textures, they just this space of like a kind of desire that music can capture that words can't, and us talking can't, and the visual arts can. But it's just there, just in this realm, and desire and human desire is, it's unquantifiable in a way. And so this wonderful sort of exploration of desire in different ways that album is, you wanted more of it. And then when you find out that actually, no, this was actually a real rock and roll band,
Yeah.
The high road is that actually, when they went on tour and that came out, that EP, you were like, wow, this is a rock and roll band. And, and they were more and more rock and roll band as it unspooled back in time.
Yeah.
So, and the beginnings of it were, these art school kids who benefited from the fact that after World War II, suddenly there was a flourishing of government investing in the art schools, and they could all go to it and, and explore things in different ways and break down and challenge class and all of that. So that's where they came